And we are live. My name is JP Berg. It is Monday, June 1st, 2026, and this is Politics with Peyman and JP. Today we will be discussing the World Health Organization, Kelly Lynn Findley. Is it Carrie Lynn Findley, Peyman?
Yes. Somebody must
Carrie
have
Lynn
spelled it wrong.
Findley, Tulsi Gabbard, and then we'll be taking some questions from the audience. So with that said, Peyman, I'll throw it right over to you. What are your thoughts on this deal with the World Health Organization?
It came up because of the Governor General. Apparently, she's moving Canada in that direction, which is on its own. It's not that interesting because Canada has been a medical tyranny for the past 6 years. What's of interest and why I flagged it is that America is seemingly moving in the opposite direction. And for the audience, me and JP, we're not saying that it's moving towards paradise. It's got a whole bunch of problems on its own. But credit where credit is due. Trump has moved America away from the United Nations and a lot of their organizations, one of which is the WHO, whereas we're signing on to these pandemic health treaty regulations.
Well, I remember it was RFK. He did a press conference regarding it, mentioning like how it's Bill Gates is the main donor to this organization. It's all these Davos elites, unelected bureaucrats that would have like unprecedented power over America. So he wasn't doing it. But I was doing a little bit of research on this, and our Governor General, Mary Simon, authorized the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Anita Anand, to accept this. And this is in regards to amendments they made to international health regulations. So this was June of last year, June of 2 years ago, 2024. So they did this recently with no public debate. There's no parliamentary debate. It's just full tyranny in Canada. It's like I've been keeping to use the term masks off tyranny in Canada. And they'll continue to do stuff like this because there's literally no reaction from the population.
This is another thing I was thinking about. Why is it that in the US they have so much more public input, whereas in Canada we don't? So in the US, people, they petition their legislators, they pressure them, they show up at their offices, whereas in Canada we don't. And it's just, yes, it's partly because our politicians don't listen to us as much here in Canada, but I think it's also the apathy. In Canada, we have this belief, this sort of deference to authority, trust the leadership, peace, order, and good governance. Whereas in the US, they have that can-do spirit of, no one's coming to save you. You have to take your destiny into your own hands.
Their system is also more in line with the people having a say in their politics. Like we have a Governor General with our Westminster parliamentary system, and she just went ahead and got the Foreign Affairs Minister to do this. And there's no procedural policy or oversight that watches any of this. They just do what they want. If it wasn't for alternative media, we likely wouldn't even hear of half of this stuff because our mainstream press in Canada is just straight Pravda at this point. There's nothing impartial about it. There's nothing independent about it. They're running off of government funds. So it's pretty wild, man.
I didn't consider that. You're right. Like a governor general that's not elected making decisions and giving instructions to somebody that's elected to office. But the other thing is the governor general is appointed by the prime minister. There was like a crisis in the 30s where Canada was about to dissolve because the Queen would not appoint a governor general. So one of the prime ministers just appointed one, and it's been custom ever since. So what I'm trying to say is it's like a circular loop. You have this cartel that's taken control of the levers of power, and they're laundering decisions through different departments. So I don't make a distinction between the governor general and Carney. They're just all part of the same machine.
I agree 100%. And it's relevant to mention too. So our prime minister appoints a governor general, and then the governor general they say is symbolic. Clearly she's not symbolic. She's making moves. She shut our parliament down there last year. But her role is to approve the prime minister's Senate choices. So, I mean, because we have an appointed Senate in Canada as well. So I hate to be vulgar, but it's the only way to put emphasis on it. It's a clusterfuck of tyranny in Canada. and the people are okay with it. It's been hyper normalized. It's like you were saying, we're apathetic, we're complacent, we're uninformed, we're uninterested. As bad as Canada is, like we're watching our communities radically change demographically. We're watching home ownership be a pipe dream for working class people. There's all these compounding issues, and Canadians are still just uninterested in it. It's wild, man. It's really disheartening for people who are trying to like educate people and like really hammer in the significance of some of these changes.
Yeah, this I use the phrase laundering of I don't know, maybe laundering of responsibility. This is a tactic people use. Constantine, when he wanted to transition the Roman Empire from paganism to Christianity, he goes to the bishops. He's like, I am, a humble servant of God. You gentlemen go and make some decisions. And then they come back. They're like, we haven't been able to reach an agreement. And he's like, all right, you sons of bitches, you go back in that room and make a decision or I'll kill you. So you appoint these people and then you pretend like your hands are tied. We saw this during COVID, where the government, they gave Bonnie Henry the authority to make these decisions. And then they're like, oh man, this is all Bonnie Henry. There's nothing we can do.
And that's the ticket, right? It's so we have someone to blame. Really, it's a massive bureaucratic apparatus and it's systemically corrupted. It doesn't have any oversight. It doesn't have any, like I said, they made this move without a parliamentary debate, without the public being involved. They just did it, and they're allowed to do it. It's relative to the flaws in the system itself. Um, Thank God Canadians are talking about it, but I mean, where does it go from then? You get people like us who are, I say some people won't look at this, and then other people can't look away. So you have people like us who are on here, and we're putting all this time in, but it's not like people are going to turn around tomorrow and I'll get on board and be outraged by this. We should be outraged. We should have been in the streets last year, a couple of years ago, even demanding changes, but we're not, and that's what's really hard to come to terms with day after day. Is no matter how, like, you can grab people and shake them and try, like, look at what's going on in your community. Look at the trajectory we're on. We're running full speed towards a cliff and no one seems to care about it. And that's where we are, not just with this issue, with most of our issues.
This is I don't know what, we're at 7 minutes. This will tie into our next topic when we get into it. Is this tension between the fact that so many Canadians are waking up? Our numbers are far higher than they were during COVID, at the start of COVID. But then so many Canadians, a majority, are still asleep. So you have to pander at best to the center, at worst left of center. But it is progress. We should not underestimate the fact that at least we're moving in the right direction.
I think there's more people waking up. My fear is that they're waking up and there's all these very effective division operations. Like we're divided based on age in Canada. Everyone wants to blame the boomers or the dumb libs or the weak conservatives. The racialism in Canada is off the hook. Like people who wouldn't have dreamed of saying something is so derogatory online are now just spewing derogatory pejoratives at various immigrants and getting likes. They're getting built up for it. So it's incentivizing more of this behavior and it's showing other people. And it's like, look, guys, we have a problem. There's been a radical demographic shift into Canada. But I mean, you can't blame the people that were brought here. They've been victimized by this too. And I think the main impetus for the mass migration was our reaction. They want the white nationalism, the white identitarianism to arise. They're going to utilize that to push more sweeping authoritarian measures. That's just my take on it. I feel like we're playing right into their hands.
No, you're right. So let me rephrase what you said. The race is whether people will wake up faster than the technocracy can derail that movement. It's through the algorithm. And every once in a while, I go back to X. It is just a cesspool of hatred and anger and rage. And they're taking things out of context. And they're doing it specifically so that people spend time spinning their wheels on social media where nothing really matters anyway. It's just like shouting at a waterfall.
Yes, and these algorithms really fuel this division. There's people that I call culture war grifters. We see them on the right and the left, and their content is made to infuriate or rage bait the other side of this. And they make a lot of money doing this. So they're incentivized by the algorithms. Meanwhile, a lot of alternative voices that are trying to look past the sensational division and like to some of the root or the core of our problems and offer pragmatic solutions, these people are deboosted. And maybe it's just the way the algorithm is set up now. But if you want to get on social media and spew division and vitriol and racial hatred or ideological hatred or religious hatred or age gap hatred, you're fueled. You're boosted. But if you want to get on here and say like, hey, what can we look at that we all have in common? Because we're all in Canada. All of these that like Bill C2, C8, C9, C22, C63, C11, these bills affect all of us. They're transformation. It's transformational legislation that changes foundational aspects of what it means to be a Canadian. Like it's not relevant to the left or the right. Like you can't frame it within that binary because it doesn't fit. This affects all of us and it's not good. It's like whatever you let your government do to someone else, they will inevitably do to you. And Canadians need to realize that, but they can't see past their own vitriol and their own venom.
No, very well put. Should we go on to the next topic?
Let's do it. I'll let you start off with this just because you're native to BC and you definitely have more information regarding it.
So I believe it's. Do you want to bring up? We can bring up the label.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I believe it's. The name is Kelly Lynn Findley. I don't know if it's Carrie. Everybody knows me and names. I'm horrible. She won. Yeah, I hope I'm right. She won the BC Conservative Party leadership race by like 1%. The other one was the more attractive woman I was rooting for because she's more attractive, Caroline Elliott, I believe. Apparently, Kelly Lynn Findley, if we're going to go by the overreaction of the NDP party, she's, right of center. So when they say that she's a far right MAGA, that means she's, one hair to the right of center. And what I want to see is whether she will actually reform the leadership at the party, so the executive board, and put in people that are actually conservative, fiscally conservative, fiscally responsible, low taxes, or whether somebody will sit her down and say, listen, this is a map of British Columbia. As you can see, it's mostly blue, it's mostly green. These are left of center individuals. So we have to drift to the center if we're going to win a majority government, which I think is going to be what's going to happen.
I think, and now I have a different perspective because I'm in Nova Scotia. We have a conservative provincial government, and they've done everything, if not more, than the NDP done to perpetuate this agenda. It's not real, and everyone calls me a black pill with this. I just feel I see past it. I watched Tim Houston squirming in his skin at a press conference because he was implementing restrictions of movement relative to wildfires. You're a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen of Nova Scotia was forbidden from going in wood trails or in any nature park. People have gotten fines and challenged them. Jeff Evely, that was kind of made the rounds on social media, but I just don't think it matters. And I do think they're sat down. I think specifically they're sat down. If they gain power, she still has an uphill battle to put the party back together and then win an election. But even if they do, it's like, how much can they affect at that level? And how much is told to them? Because it's like I say, I got the impression with Houston that he didn't even want to do some of this stuff. And like he was fielding questions at this press conference I mentioned, just from the state-sponsored media. And he was squirming. He didn't know how to word it. He knew he was being disingenuous. He knew he was going against his principles. Now, I'm reading into this. This is conjecture on my behalf, but that's the impression I got. And we've seen this with other conservative premiers across the country. Like, it's just how relevant is it? That's my big question.
Yeah, you're kind of saying what I said in a different way. You have the benefit of hindsight, or I use the word benefit loosely, but you see what's happened when you have a so-called conservative in power, and nothing really changes. I don't think there's a political solution to this. And the reason I say that is a lot of us, myself indirectly, but we tried to take the BC Conservative Party and revive it and turn it into a populist movement and take back the province. And like the goal was to do it in like one or two election cycles. Maybe it was naive, but you take over the government, you stop doing this degrowth, you start supporting local businesses, you stop pushing all of these drugs and all this LGBTQ stuff. And Rustad swoops in, Aaron Gunn swoops in, they hijacked the party. They kicked out all the populist candidates like Stephen Malthouse, Jan Webb, They didn't let Corinne Maury in, or Sean Taylor, and then they started the BC United Party, our Liberal Party here. It imploded, and they started taking on those Liberal Party MLAs. And as Jordan Keeley said to you and I, he did a count and he saw that there was more Liberals in the Conservative Party than there were Conservatives. So I don't think there is a political solution to this. It has to come with a change in the people.
I think so too. It's politics is downstream of culture. That's a Gramsci quote, who was a radical leftist. But I mean, it's very true. So I mean, that's what we have to do. Organizations, citizens groups, actually coming up with outside of the box solutions to organize and to bring some advocacy to some of these issues. Because Canadians, even people that are involved, like I hear people say, "Oh yeah, I'm awake." It's like, "Oh, you're awake, are you? Like, awesome. Like, what are you thinking? What's going on?" And they're like, "We got to get those dumb libs out." So it's like, that's it. That's the end of it. Just stops there. Yeah, it's dumb libs. That's why Canada's a mess. It's like, man, that's so like 10 years ago to me. Like, how can you think that? When are you looking at the world? Are you looking more broadly? It's like I say, man, when we look to the UK, when we look to Germany, when we look to France, all of their populist parties and populist candidates are surging in the polls. We have Maxime Bernier here, and like, he's deboosted on social media, and all of the so-called conservatives are shitting on him every chance they get. They just fall for the ops against this party. Canadians aren't there yet. And you said it in one of our recent episodes. We would have needed to get the conservatives in federally and then collectively acknowledge or realize that, okay, they're doing the same agenda. It means nothing. It's blue team, red team, and we're all the victim here.
You know, like, if everyone in the world, in the West, like if everyone's a child, the voters are acting like children. The Canadians were like infants or toddlers or newborn babies. Like, we're far, far worse. But what I wanted to say is, we the reason that something like the People's Party is not gaining traction is because nobody wants to bet on a team that has no chance of winning. Like, there's the perception that they will never ever win, but that perception is manufactured by, let's call it, the establishment. Like, you put the media and the political parties, they're in under the umbrella of the establishment. So you got two divisions within that establishment. And the media is the marketing arm that goes out and frames the questions and sort of elevates the main parties, because just by virtue of name dropping them. And then come election time, all of the people have been pre-programmed to only focus on certain issues: climate change, white supremacy, I don't know, homeless industrial complex, safe supply. And all of the mainstream political parties have an answer for that. And then meanwhile, you have like the People's Party over here, or JP Berg over there, talking about asset stripping and fiat Ponzi scheme, and nobody wants to support that.
Yeah, and that's what I say. The best advantage they get by controlling the opposition the way they do is they get to parameterize the conversation. They frame it the way they want to frame it. So anything that deviates from that orthodoxy is dismissible. Well, that's crazy. No one's talking about that. And that's what's perpetuated with people, and we just can't see past it. Now, there's also the reflexivity thing. Like, we're seeing a rise in white identitarianism in Canada. Obviously, we've had radical demographic shifts and all this anti-white rhetoric. Of course, white people are going to start grouping together. But I mean, I think that's exactly what they want. I think they want that reaction. The problem: weaponized mass migration. The reaction: white identitarianism. And the solution is sweeping new laws to deal with this. They balkanized our country. This was an inevitability, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're funding some of this. Honestly, like, that's how it works. It's a strategy of tension, and it's reliant on this reflexivity politically within this left-right binary framing.
Yeah, they burnt everything down to the ground, and then the people rushed to the people that burnt everything down. And, like, I'm talking about the judiciary. Like, we don't have a justice system in Canada anymore, not one that delivers justice to people that don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. That's just one example. Immigration, as you pointed out, was another one, and this is far beyond incompetence at this point.
Yeah, and it's really time for people to start to realize. I also think just where we touched on the PPC, I'd love to see the PPC change their messaging, acknowledge how synthetic the left-right divide is right now in Canada, and instead of presenting themselves as the real conservatives, they should be aiming to be the real adults in the room that want to take pragmatic steps to resolve some of our problems nationally. That's a winning message. So if you're listening, guys, like you should really adopt a messaging like that. Get off the real conservative, get out of the culture war. That's like 4 years ago, man. We're past that now. Let's talk about extractive finance and international finance. Let's talk about, the Ponzi scheme of the monetary system right now. Like we're in trouble and it's time to wake up to it. So with that said, we're going to switch off to our next topic. We're going to look down south for this one. And Tulsi Gabbard, she left office. She read a statement regarding her sick husband who has cancer, and she's leaving. So there's a lot of people. So there's a lot of speculation about this. What are your thoughts, Peyman?
I I'm surprised I didn't hear about this until yesterday, because I was waiting to see whether she would leave, and I said, once she leaves, that's the beginning of the end for the Trump administration. I think the end would be if RFK Jr. left. This is really bad. Like Trump's administration, to me, it seems like it's an administration in free fall. Every once in a while, they come out and they say the right thing. We need to go back to the family unit, reindustrialize, and then the next day they give like $10 trillion more to BlackRock.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the golden era. You know what I mean? Like, get ready for the golden era of prosperity. There's going to be all these changes, America first, and he's just running the American hegemon. He's turned into not just a regular neocon, he's a super neocon. And when people say, like, I've actually heard Canadian commentators, I'm not going to mention names, but say, like, if you're noticing the Israel influence over the American administration, you're being paid by Russia, you're being paid by China, and it's like, dude, I'm a working class guy from Nova Scotia, and I got two eyes in my skull, and I could see this as plain as day. I know what I'm seeing. I'm not an idiot. Like this approach to try to defame people that are noticing is wild to me, man. It makes me think it's the opposite, like they're being paid, because that's just crazy to me.
They say this garbage all the time. They said it about the truckers. Putin is funding it, and then MAGA is funding it. It's I came across a tactic that sometimes they use in debates where you make these arguments that are based on half truths or entirely a lie, but it takes you less energy to make those arguments than it does for somebody to swat them away. That's what they're doing. Like they put that out there, and then JP, how are you going to prove that you're actually not paid by Russia? Are you going to show your bank statements, or your offshore bank accounts? Like, good luck proving a negative.
I will. My account's probably in overdraft right now. I'm certainly not paid by anyone. But yeah, man, you're absolutely right. It's a tactic, it's strategy, right? And it's very disingenuous because I think it's from Marxist tactics, but you accuse your enemy of what you're doing to confuse them. And that's always you're always and it also enrages them. So it sets them off right away. It's like, excuse me, you're doing that. What are you talking about? I'm being paid by Russia? Like you're probably being paid by Israel. And it just starts this thing that goes nowhere. It is unprovable, but it's just again like anyone who wants to tell you not to talk about something. I don't care what the reasoning is or the rationalization for this advice. Don't listen to the man. It's likely an op. If someone tells you you can't speak about something that you're observing and it's really disconcerting, that's exactly what you should be speaking about, in my estimation. But I mean, what do I know?
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about who said that, but it's a very lazy argument. And it's a very dangerous one. I always reference the left whenever I talk to them, and I'm trying to tell them that Ukraine, Russia did have reason to go in, and they would just dismiss it by saying that's Russian propaganda. So yeah, I forget I think you busted out a Nietzsche quote where people they're not seeking the truth, they're seeking validation.
Comfort in illusions.
There you go. That's probably some variant of that when they say, "Oh, you're paid from Russia."
Yeah, 100%. Well, it makes it's like confirmation bias too, where every little bit of information you're seeing that bolsters your own argument or your own framing, you could see that. and you'll use that and you'll acknowledge it. But anything that questions or kind of takes the bluster out of your framing, you're dismissing it. And this is one way to do it. Well, oh, it's foreign misinformation, it's foreign propaganda. It's like, no, it's right in front of your face. A lot of people, I think, are just being duped by it. I'm not saying everyone is on the payroll in some regard. I think a lot of people are just on here and they're fighting to be relevant. They're playing the algorithm wars. They're changing what they do to fit the algorithm. So this is wild. Let's think about like X for a moment. Every couple of weeks, some of these big accounts are like, oh, the algorithm, the code changed. Now they're going for videos or they're going for shorter comment. And what does everyone do right away? They change what they're doing. It's like this is a sophisticated algorithmic propaganda tool where the user becomes the product and the propaganda, and they're literally shaping how you make it now. And no one's even aware of it. Why? Because what's fueling them is the desire for likes and clicks. It's like we're in a bad way, man, with all of this stuff.
I'm having a tough time dealing with this charge that people are foreign funded by our enemies, and the enemy is always Russia and China. You're getting money from them. But like, what about the issue? We have a prime minister that was airdropped by a foreign government, the UK. I'm guessing that there was a lot of money that came in from the Democrat Party directly or indirectly through transfer of knowledge to make sure that Mark Carney won. We just saw George Soros, or was it Alex Soros, and Obama went and met with Mark Carney. Like, they're blurring the lines. Why is it that government aligned agencies like Anti-Hate can get funding from the government, but we can't, like an ordinary citizen can't get a donation from somebody that happens to be in a different country? Like, who's setting these rules? Like, I don't know what the rules are anymore.
Yes, when we do it, it's counterterrorism. When they do it, it's terrorism. That's a Peyman quote.
But yeah, I know what sorry, you said it the wrong way. When they do it, it's counterterrorism. Oh, sorry. When we do it, it's counterterrorism. When they do it, it's terrorism. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think I just said it in the wrong order, but I've heard you say that a lot, and it's accurate, right? And that's that framing, right? It's us versus them framing, but really, like, there's broader institutions that are trying to establish like unprecedented control. Going back to the first topic, like, look at all the WHO things like this. They used a lot of ambiguous language, which pretty much essentially gives them full command over Canada in lieu of a health emergency. How easy would it be then for them to conjure up another health emergency? Right? Like, it's always on the back burner. I'm sure they've got several ready. We're foregoing our agency. We're foregoing our political recourse. They're taking it from us. This is in a lot of instances, like with the WHO, it's a public-private partnership. These are like international NGO type bodies, but I mean, they're full of like the biggest corporate players in the world. Bill Gates is the main funder for the WHO. So it's just wild, man. We're watching this, and meanwhile, people are still fighting over the red team versus the blue team. And this is happening all over the Western world. So, like, there's bigger fish to fry. There's a better way to frame this conversation that actually lets people know where our enemy is.
I think people find comfort in the political party of their choice. Like, they get behind one political party, and it gives them comfort knowing that maybe there is a political solution out of this. Otherwise, it's a terrifying thought when you wake up and you realize there is no political solution. This is an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the political parties know this too, and that's why they say don't split the vote. The politics is a team sport. We have your back. We have your best interests in mind. And you see it right now with Trump. And I don't blame the ones who still think that the Trump administration is going to course correct, this trust the plan kind of thing. Because if you don't trust the plan, and if there is no plan, you come to the conclusion that we're all screwed.
I would say instead of trusting the plan, people should start believing their eyes. That would be my thing. Don't trust anyone's plan, especially from a public servant that was a billionaire and has all kinds of crazy shit going on with Epstein ties and stuff. We should never just blindly trust anything. We should scrutinize all of these issues, and that's what we've lost. We've lost the desire to do that. Probably a lot of it's from demoralization. Like, we've been in this situation for so long, but But yeah, this left-right thing, the red team versus the blue team, this is all distractionary at this point. The bodies that we have to be concerned about is the banking, like the international financiers, the corporate world, the WEF, the WHO, the Soros Open Societies Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Like, I'm a firm believer that these people fund both sides of this. It was in Tragedy and Hope. Now I'm paraphrasing something I read in it, but we'll set up two parties and we want them to be virtually identical. So when the people get mad at the party in power because of what we're telling them to do, they could just kick them out and put in new people. But really, I mean, they're not subservient. They're not representing the constituency. They're representing the oligarchy. And that's a flaw of democracy. This was talked about going back to ancient Greece when it was first conceptualized. This is like an inherent flaw of this type of a system is the richer people, the donor class, they end up capturing it. And that's where we are right now. And it's not hard to determine. I think if all of this sensational culture war grifting stuff wasn't being fueled so intently, that people would start to actually see it and acknowledge it, because it's never been so evident.
Should we go to the questions?
Let's do some questions.
I guess we'll bring up. Oh, we got a couple. JL Bartman. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. Bartman.
Good morning, sir.
He asks, I love listening to your perspective on Canada and the mess we now have. I guess it's not a question, it's a comment. Yeah, I think that's why, JP, I'll let you speak for yourself, but that's why I like doing these morning news streams, is we're trying to give an alternative view to Canadians, not necessarily going into intricate detail in all the news stories, but just to say, hey, Canada's on fire over here. Hey, it's on fire over there. And no political party is going to fix it.
Yeah, I feel like it's an obligation at this point, but I can't lie. It's very cathartic for me. The fact that you, sir, and many other people seem to enjoy it is just icing on the cake. I would probably go mad if I couldn't have these conversations. It's a bit of a release of tension for me. But yeah, that's what it is. Like, I feel like I have an obligation. It's like I see something that's very dangerous. And it seems like, to me, I'm not special or anything, but it seems like no one else is really paying attention to it. So I feel like an obligation to try to express that to people. And a lot of people hate me for it, but I'm going to keep going.
They'd hate you anyway.
That's right.
Squirrel nuts. Maxime Bernier isn't the solution either. Yeah, I mean, like, the level of hatred for this guy is through the roof. I don't know if it's organic or the Conservative Party, but yeah, if you want a perfect solution, independence is a way to go. Subsidiarity is another one. Secession from Canada is a third one. But I mean, I still think Maxime Bernier is way better than the Conservative Party. I mean, he did at least say climate change was a hoax.
Yeah, he called out Israel too, which is huge. That's a no-go zone with things, right? I think everything Max has said and did for the last couple of years shows me he would be the one to trust. I mean, you got to vote for someone. I would definitely put my vote that way. I get why, people can, I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but I'd be curious, Squirrel Nuts, why Max isn't the solution. What's your specific reasoning for saying that? If you're still there, I'd like to hear that.
Great point, Squirrel Nuts. If you put it down there, we'll get to it eventually. Squirrel Nuts, showing the infiltration of the deep state. It must have been at some point when we were talking. The only way to fix anything is to become V and have no mercy. I think that's V from Vendetta. Yeah, put on a mask, maybe get a disfigured face.
I'm going for that soon. That's my plan.
Could you imagine if they did a sequel to V? It's based in Canada, and he storms the CBC office, like takes down the propaganda arm.
We should pitch that, man. Someone should make that movie.
Yeah, V for Canada. Squirrel Nuts. Just because they say you can't, don't mean you can't. It's their tactics to get you to stop doing what they don't. So don't like. So they threaten you. I think this is when you said, "Don't you take money from Russia? You can't talk about Israel."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, and that's definitely what they do. They don't just threaten you directly. It's more subtle. You're disincentivized to say this because of the social repercussions. You could be ostracized from society by polite society. Think of COVID, peak COVID. If you weren't buying it and you were very outspoken about how bullshit this whole thing is, everyone hated you. You were suddenly a social pariah. Well, it's the same thing when you go against the grain on a lot of these things. It's like I was saying, they parameterize the conversation where they carefully set what's acceptable, and anything outside of that, they can dismiss it. And a lot of people go along with that. That's just how tribalistic and how malleable people are en masse.
Yeah, let's take a moment now and a shout out to anybody out there that didn't fall for this globo tyranny, this psychological operation of over the last 6 years. Like you, us, all of us, we had to go through hell. We got ostracized, we got shunned by our closest friends and family members, but we knew it was the right thing to do, and we endured. And now, just this year, in the last few weeks, months, I've started to have friends reach out to me and say, Peyman, you were right. You were one of the smart ones. You saw it coming. And now they're in a world of hurt, like they're in debt, they have the vaccine injuries.
It's like I've been saying, man. Number one, I have thick skin. I wouldn't say I'm jaded, but I'm experienced. I've been at this war for a while now, and they don't scare me. Like, I don't, if someone has a credible argument and they can make logical sense, I'll change my position. I'm not sitting here like, hey, I got it all figured out. I think that wouldn't be wise at all. But yeah, I'm pretty war ready now. So like I don't care. I'm willing to say anything, and I'm gonna call it out. But I think if anything, I would like to see courage inspire more courage, because I think the more people that are willing to step out and call some of these issues out, that emboldens other people that are thinking that, but they might be afraid to say it. So the more people that start to speak the truth and challenge these ideas and challenge this tyranny, I think the more people are going to respond and get on board with it.
Right. So, squirrel nuts, black pilling squirrel nuts. Sniff out the moles and fix the problem. It's going to be a battle. Do you know what he's referring to?
No, but just in a general statement, like sniff out all of the bad people from the government or whatever. I think it's far beyond it all. I think we gotta sever the ties from international finance. I think we have to issue currency and credit at a national level. I think if we don't do this, there's definitely no political solution. It does not matter. Even Trump himself. Like, Trump ran on all these policies and platforms, and he was going to do all of these great things and bring about a golden era. And then when he got in there, he turned into John McCain. We watched the man morph into John McCain. And it's even worse because he's a megalomaniac. When I used to think Trump was with the people, I liked his brash nature. Because I thought, like, he's sticking it to these people that are screwing us over. Like, he's for us. And I can't believe I fell for it, man. That's how I feel now. I just feel stupid. But fool me once. I will not be fooled again with this shit. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, our biggest issue is with monetary reform. That's the only way we get true liberation, because we're debt-ridden wage slaves under a fiat Ponzi scheme system, and it's coming to its end.
All right, I want to say two things. The first one, sometimes we underestimate the importance of the U.S. stock market in, presidential administrations. Like, no president can risk tanking the stock market. And somebody could come to you and say, listen, if you don't print $2 trillion and give it to the military, to give it to companies that are on the stock market will collapse and your ratings will go through the floor. That's one way that they can apply leverage to Trump. The other thing, imagine how much better off we would be if our school systems taught how our monetary system is a Ponzi scheme. And I don't mean opening up a textbook that's written in Klingon. Like, do some sort of exercise where, you create a currency system for the cafeteria lunch, and there's only one person in the entire school that can give those currencies out, and they can charge interest on that.
Even just if people understood at a common sense knowledge that, like, we have a private banking oligarchy. It's not national. It's an international private banking oligarchy that loans us money on interest. Like, and we're going to be a conspiracy theorist to think that they might be, informing policy. Of course, you're not a conspiracy theorist to say that. What you are, sir, is logical if you say that, because that's a logical conclusion to make, considering.
No, but I was thinking, because kids don't understand monetary policy, but you have French fries in the cafeteria, Imagine you make like the school bully be the bank, and the bully would give you one French fry voucher. You go buy the French fries, you got to come back. You give the, 3 or 4 to them when you come back, and tomorrow you got to give them a whole packet of French fries. At the end of the year, they're going to be like a million French fries in debt.
Yeah, you have no French fries left. But that's it. And there's deficiencies in our market. Like the whole Keynesian model is when there is like a buying power discrepancy, we just flood the market with debt. We flood the market with credit. And just to service the debt, the money that's wasted just servicing debt to this private international oligarchy is profound. And to them, it's not about money. It's not about getting more money. It's about resources. It's extractive. But I mean, it's also just about consolidating their power and influence. And that's what we're witnessing now. We're witnessing this oligarchy taking their masks off and saying like, this is how it works. And we do have power. And you could see it, man, as plain as day. Well, I can anyway. And that's why I get up every day and do this.
Simon Dixon had a really good way of framing it. He takes it back to the fiat Ponzi scheme. He goes, it started in the Dutch East India Company and the British East India Company, and it's just that they created this model of let's just saddle nation states with debt. I'm guessing before that they did it in a different way, like they had to use physical gold. It's not to say that you can't have debt. You can inflate the take water down the silver content, for example. But with this paper fiat money, I don't know how they did it. Like they just went to the nation states, like, hey, here's a great idea. Why don't I give you some money out of nothing, and you have to give me back even more out of your labor? And the nation states are like, yeah, great idea.
So a lot of people don't know this. I'm sure you're aware of this, Payman. But back in the day when we used it, we were all on the gold standard. Gold was used as currency. It was dangerous to travel with gold. Gold was heavy. It took a lot, So if you were doing any traveling or shopping, you would have to carry your gold around, and that was really a recipe for disaster back in the day. So people started putting their gold and storing it with goldsmiths. Why? Because they already had like large safes and secure facilities to store this gold. And then what happened is you started to get promissory notes for the gold that was stored with these people. So right away, people started using these notes as currency. It wasn't gold anymore. It's just the paper notes. So it was only one entrepreneurial or less than above board goldsmith that was like, hey, I can loan some of these monetary notes out. No one's coming back to get their gold. Like no one knows what I have. And that was like early inflation. And since then, it's been evolving into more control, more debt, off the gold standard. Like I used to think that we need sound currency. I started to learn a bit more, and fiat was bad. I don't even think fiat is bad. I think fiat is necessary because we need to service the economy. So we need to be able to create credit, and we need to be able to give it to people. We just got to get rid of the interest. And I know that's counter to everything that you've learned, but that's bad. Interest is bad. It's usury. It inevitably ends up with people having way too much power. And I mean, at the end of the day, our economical system is supposed to serve the people, just like our political system. We're not supposed to serve the market. And that's what the right wing and the libertarian types, I was very pro Milton Friedman. I read everything Thomas Sowell wrote. So like for me to make these conclusions is coming from one side to the other. It's like, no, there's no solid, credible arguments for usury. It's bad every time, and it gets us in real trouble.
I was at a libertarian conference once, and I went and asked some follow-up questions to the speaker. I'm like, you put libertarianism on a spectrum. You have anarcho-capitalism, and then you had minarchism, U.S. constitutionalism, and then classical liberalism. I'm like, why did you put classical liberal in there? He goes, Milton Friedman calls himself a libertarian, so I had to put him in there.
Yeah, it's not real, man. It's like I said, we can't get liberty at a national level. If we went libertarian tomorrow, if we elected the Libertarian Party nationally in America, if Thomas Massey ran for libertarian and he got in, what can he do if he doesn't sever the ties from international finance? Absolutely nothing. We're slaves to the free market. It's not like Javier Milei, and he's supposed to be a Catholic too, which is total irony. But he said he views the free market as God. It's like, well, that's not Catholic doctrine, sir. I don't know if you're aware of that. But that's again the performative nature of these people, man. They all know who they work for, and they very much fall in line.
Oh, we just got a stream of questions, comments. All right, Michael Adamson, you are special. Haters gonna hate. It's talking to you. Millions worldwide are dialed into the vibe. Brexit and MAGA. If Bernier went full can exit, he'd win.
Yeah, I've had a conversation with Michael Adamson. If you're not following Michael Adamson, he's one of the smarter, more intelligent, eloquent people I've ever spoke with. He's very optimistic about what's happening. He believes we're in a transformational phase and that they're going to lose power and we're going to see a surge in nationalism and we're going to make some changes. I would like to have his optimism, which is what I told him when I interviewed him recently. But I pray he's right and the people are able to wake up to our real problems, which is at the financial level. But I'm not as I don't share his optimism on it.
Johnny Tight Lips. Don't worry, lads. We have a central banker as our prime minister. Elbows up. Yep. As long as you keep your elbows in the up position, the economy can never go into a depression.
Yeah, it's also ludicrous, man. Like just the fact that Carney is a central banking parasite. He's referred to himself multiple times as someone who doesn't consider himself Canadian. He considers himself European. His all of his assets, they'll criticize Max Bernier for owning a home in Florida that he bought with his own money, but they won't criticize Carney for keeping all of his $1 billion of assets in America. It's not just a double standard or hypocritical. It's ludicrous.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there. Squirrel Nuts. Any country that accepts or needs loans to survive needs to lower their flag and become the country giving it the money. Enough is enough. That's kind of, yeah, I think he's right. I mean, I take it a step further. Like if you can't provide, if you can't create the goods and services that you need to survive, the core ones, which is food and energy, you're not a country.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think nation states are relevant anymore. I think since Bretton Woods and the post World War II order, I think we've been like we might think we're nation states, but really we're commerce districts with different rules. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, especially geopolitically, it's a power system. It's an empire. Quigley called it the American Anglo Empire. But I mean, it's definitely real, and until people start to acknowledge that, that's the core of the issue. And again, there's no political recourse, but we need to educate people and we need to make movements. We need to make clubs and societies and get out in the streets and spread our messages. If you have to go door to door knocking and bothering people and talking to them, and I know how awkward that is nowadays, but that's what you must do. And if we're not willing to do that, we're going to lose. It's as simple as that.
We got another comment from Squirrel Nuts. And who keeps these countries poor and why? That may be the better questions. Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about the elites, but I mean, if you have a banking system that siphons money, a monetary system that siphons money out of the productive class, it's going to siphon it somewhere, wherever that somewhere is. That those are the people that are destroying these countries.
Yeah, it's the bankers. They keep us poor. They keep us poor with the regulations and their taxation. They keep us poor with the economy and what they're doing to tweak the economy. But the reason they do it is because scarcity is the ingredient for our modern economy. Everything's predicated on scarcity. The competition is predicated on scarcity. People get up every day to do jobs they hate because it's like think of it as a mule with a carrot in front of it, dangling on a stick. That mule's going for the carrot. We're going for what we need, which is to pay our rent, to pay our bills, to propagate our lifestyles and perpetuate our lifestyles. So I mean, that's why if you take the scarcity out of that, who's gonna participate in this system? Who's going to participate in building data centers that will enslave us? Like, you know what I mean? Willingly participate in that. If everyone could make enough money, retire, buy a piece of land, live a good life, lead a good life without slaving away every day, likely they would. And then they couldn't incentivize us to build this postmodern Tower of Babel.
Let's continue on. There's a flurry of questions now. The real social credit. The main thing that matters is the policy of the financial system. Does it serve the common interest or does it serve the oligarchy? The present system does the latter. We can have a fiat-based system so long as it reflects reality accurately and serves the people. I'll throw that to you.
That's what I was trying to reference. Now, this is Dr. Oliver Haydorn. He's an advocate for Douglas social credit, as am I at this point. I'm hesitant to get into the nuance because I'm still learning a lot and I don't want to misinform people. But I think Oliver's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And once you start to learn about it and realize this pragmatic solution, um, you can't see the world the same way. This is something Oliver said to me. Like, once you learn about this, you can't see our problems in the same light anymore. You see past it, and that's what I feel. And I think I believe in this because I believe there is a logos, there is objective reality. I'm not a moral relativist. I don't think everything is subjectively interpreted. I think there is objective reality and there's a logos. So when you hear something and see something that makes logical sense, you that absorbs and you start to work that into your framing for the world. And I think once people learn about Douglas social credit, I think we will see a movement.
I agree completely with his use of the phrase oligarchy. Like whoever is benefiting from everybody else's labor, they're parasites. This is ridiculous. Like governments have the ability to print their own money, and if they don't want to do that, they abdicate that responsibility. We can print our own money. That's what Bitcoin is.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm with you on that.
Michael Adamson has another comment. Yes, 21st century requires quantum thinking to advance the old class extractive system. I think he's saying sort of the same thing that we're saying, this extractive monetary policy.
Yes, we need transformational knowledge. Like people need to learn about the core of the problems. It's just like I was just trying to explain. And when they do, this grows, it spreads. Like people are talking about it. Next thing you know, it starts to spread and you see that effect. And then you'll eventually see it hit a tipping point where everyone sees this problem. But again, the hurdles in front of us is the fake political system. Politics, guys, is bread and circuses of modernity in the West. It's bread and circuses. They're not real. They're not politicians. They're political constructs. They don't serve their constituency. They serve this oligarchy. And it's been like this for our whole lives. Like it was better hidden before, and we could believe in the kayfabe of it all. And you look at Donald Trump mentioning kayfabe, he turned on a dime and became the heel now. He's the heel. He was the baby face at one time. Like it's performative. And that's where people are getting stuck. And that's what it's intended to do. Keep us busy with bread and circuses, and we won't pay attention to the goings on of the true ruling class.
And that's all she wrote for today.
That's all the questions. Well, I guess with that said, I will appeal to the audience because I didn't. I'm supposed to several times through the broadcast. If you guys could please share this stream. We're immensely suppressed in the algorithms. All we get is organic reach. If you know anyone that you think might enjoy our content, send it directly to them. I know it's a big ask, but at this point, it's the only thing we could do to grow our audience. So with that said, Peyman, do you have any parting words?
As always, try to limit your ability to be taxed, lower your expenses, try to be more sovereign. These little things make a huge difference, and try to somehow, to a certain extent, grow your own food supply. That'll help you detach from the government.
Yes, I would add to try to stop seeing your neighbors as members of outgroups. Start to try to focus on what you guys share in common as opposed to your differences. And it's better to love than to hate. So as corny as that sounds, I truly believe it with every core of my being. So with that said, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.